All right, so buckle up because today we are diving deep into the crazy news from February 4th, 2025.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like the world is just spinning faster and faster.
It really does.
And this day was like a whole new level.
Yeah.
So we're going to zero in on President Trump's second term.
Okay.
And all the craziness that it's causing.
Right.
We've got like a mountain of news alerts and articles.
Wow.
Even some crazy stuff on social media.
Interesting.
And let me tell you, it is a wild ride.
I bet.
Just to give you a taste.
Okay.
Trump is taking on Iran. There's this huge celebrity feud that's blowing up.
Really?
And Disneyland might be moving to Ireland.
Disneyland to Ireland.
Yeah, you heard that right.
Wow. Okay. So what's really interesting here is how all these like totally random stories, they all connect back to these big themes of Trump's presidency, like disruption, controversy, and constantly trying to like rewrite the rules.
I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's unpack this, starting with Trump's second term itself.
Okay.
The news was just flooded with Trump stories on February 4th.
Yeah, I bet.
It really paints a picture of this totally chaotic and unpredictable landscape. So one of the biggest headlines was Trump signing an executive order for what he called maximum pressure on Iran.
Maximum pressure.
Yeah.
What's that about?
So the goal is to prevent them from developing nuclear weapons.
Interesting.
And he was even quoted as saying,
Oh, really?
hopefully we won't have to use it,
Okay.
but we're prepared to do whatever it takes. I'm always open to working out a deal,
Okay.
but they need to understand we're serious.
So he's saying he wants to work out a deal, but he's also
Yeah.
threatening them at the same time.
Exactly. It's classic Trump.
Yeah.
And to make things even more dramatic.
Oh, yeah. What else happened?
He met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu
Okay.
that very same day.
So he signs this executive order and then meets with Netanyahu.
Sends a pretty clear message about his stance on the Middle East.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And on the domestic front,
Okay.
he really shook things up by establishing
What did he do?
the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE.
Wait, Doji E?
Yeah.
Like the meme?
Apparently so.
You can't make this stuff up.
I know, right?
So what is this DOGE department all about?
So it's being led by Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Okay.
And it's supposed to be all about cutting government waste.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, on the surface it does.
Right.
But there are already some serious legal challenges.
Oh, really? What kind of challenges?
Well, for one, there are concerns about DOGE's access to some really sensitive information.
Like what?
Treasury payment data.
Treasury payment data. Wow.
So some people are questioning if they really need this level of access.
Yeah, I can see why people would be concerned about that.
Or if it crosses a line, in terms of privacy and security.
It sounds like this DOGE thing is raising a lot of eyebrows.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And on top of that, it looks like Trump's facing even more legal trouble from another direction.
Oh, really? Where's that coming from?
Well, there are these reports that some anonymous FBI agents are filing a lawsuit to block Trump from finding out what they did in the January 6th investigation.
No, wow.
And also the Mar-a-Lago raid.
So there's already a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
And this lawsuit is just adding fuel to the fire.
It's definitely heating things up.
And if that wasn't enough drama for one day,
Oh, there's more.
federal workers are bracing for a major shakeup.
Oh, no. What's happening?
So there are reports of these sweeping layoffs
Wow.
and resignation offers being pushed on federal employees.
So they're basically forcing people out.
It's creating a lot of anxiety and uncertainty
Yeah, I can imagine.
within the government workforce.
It definitely feels like a time of massive upheaval and change.
Yeah,
Makes you wonder how all this is playing out internationally.
that's a good question. Let's shift our focus to Ukraine for a minute,
Yeah.
because things are getting really complicated there.
Uh-oh, how so?
Remember how Zelensky offered Trump those rare earth minerals?
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like a bargaining chip.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was. Well, it turns out those minerals might be more trouble than they're worth.
How so?
Zelensky just admitted that the deposits are actually located
Where are they?
in territory that's outside of Kyiv's control.
Oh, wow. So they don't even have access to them.
Exactly.
That throws a serious wrench into things.
It definitely complicates the U.S.-Ukraine relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
And to make matters worse,
Oh, no.
Zelensky also revealed that the death toll in that ongoing war with Russia
Right?
has now surpassed 45,000.
Oh, wow. That's devastating.
And he also said that he's open to negotiating with Russia.
Okay, so he's willing to talk.
And even considering offering those strategic minerals to the U.S.
To the U.S.
Like Trump had suggested.
So we've got these potential mineral deals, this devastating war.
Yeah.
And this crazy power dynamic between Ukraine, Russia, and the U.S.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's a really delicate situation.
And back here in the U.S., Trump's making waves with his immigration policy.
What's he doing now?
We're getting reports that the first migrant flights to Guantanamo Bay have taken off.
Wait, Guantanamo Bay?
Yeah.
That's a very controversial move.
It is.
I mean, what's the reasoning behind that?
So this is part of Trump's, ramped up deportation policy.
Okay, so he's getting even stricter.
And it's drawing criticism from human rights groups and legal experts.
Yeah, I can see why.
So it feels like his second term is all about, pushing boundaries, shaking up the status quo, both domestically and internationally.
It's definitely a bold approach.
We'll have to wait and see what the long-term consequences are.
Yeah. Time will tell.
So on that note, let's move on to the economic fallout from some of these policies, specifically Trump's ongoing trade war and the impact of his tariffs.
Right, because those tariffs are affecting everyone.
Yeah, they are.
From, global economies down to your local Chipotle.
Exactly.
So how are the tariffs playing out globally?
Well, Canada and Mexico are pushing back pretty hard.
Okay.
They're imposing their own retaliatory tariffs.
Makes sense.
The Canadian Prime Minister even said that Canadians are more united than ever.
Wow.
Because of the U.S. tariff threats.
That's a pretty strong statement.
And there are concerns coming out of Nigeria.
What about Nigeria?
That Trump's energy policies could threaten their oil revenue.
Oh, wow. So it's having a global impact.
And speaking of things that hit close to home, Chipotle announced that they're diversifying their avocado sources.
Their avocado sources?
Yeah, because of potential tariff impacts.
So our guacamole is feeling the heat of this trade war.
That's right.
It's crazy how these, global economic policies can have these real tangible effects on our everyday lives.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that it's all connected.
It really is.
Speaking of things that are connected, let's take a quick detour into the world of celebrity scandals.
So fun.
Because why not?
Why not?
It seems like even with all this political and economic turmoil going on, there's always room for some good old-fashioned drama.
Always.
So right now, the spotlight is on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
What are they up to?
They're caught up in this legal battle.
Interesting.
And Lively's facing some serious social media backlash.
Oh, no, why?
Because she's promoting her new movie amidst all this controversy.
Oh, yikes. That's bad timing.
Talk about bad timing.
And speaking of things that might be better left unscheduled, during times of international tension, the Super Bowl is stirring up its own controversy this year.
Oh, really? What's going on?
Ledisi is set to sing the Black National Anthem.
Okay.
And some conservative fans are calling for a boycott.
Wow. So we've got political drama, international tension, economic uncertainty, a celebrity feud, and a Super Bowl controversy.
All in one day.
All in one day.
It really highlights the complexities of our modern world.
It really does.
But before we spiral into existential dread, let's shift gears and talk about something a little more futuristic.
All right.
Technology.
Okay.
Because on February 4th, 2025, the future was making headlines. Right alongside all this other news.
That's right.
One of the biggest tech stories was this prediction that the Tesla bot revolution would begin this year.
Tesla bot revolution? Yeah. Is this the beginning of the robot apocalypse?
Maybe not the apocalypse.
Okay.
But it'll be interesting to see how this technology unfolds.
Yeah, imagine Tesla factories just humming with robots.
Imagine them doing your chores someday.
Okay, that's either incredibly cool or incredibly terrifying.
Depends how you look at it.
Right.
It definitely raises a lot of questions about the future of work.
Yeah.
And the role of AI in our lives.
That's a big one.
And speaking of AI, there's also a lot of buzz about its potential to replace software developers.
Replace software developers.
Some people are even calling it the end of programming as we know it.
So does that mean all the programmers out there are about to be out of a job?
Well, it's not necessarily about jobs disappearing entirely. It's more about the way we approach programming changing.
I see.
AI could automate certain tasks.
Yeah.
Which means programmers will need to adapt.
Okay.
and focus on more complex and creative aspects of the field.
So it's not the end of programming.
Right.
It's the end of programming as we know it.
Exactly.
It's a good reminder that technology is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And we need to be ready to adapt with it.
For sure.
And in the midst of all this talk about robots and AI, Apple decided to drop a new party planning app.
Of course they did.
And naturally, Partiful, their biggest competitor, immediately responded with updates of their own.
So they're trying to keep up.
They're in a race.
The tech world never sleeps.
Never sleeps.
There's always something new and exciting happening.
Yeah.
Even on a day as jam-packed as February 4th, 2025.
It was a wild one.
It was.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
International turmoil, economic uncertainty, celebrity scandals, and even a glimpse into a robot-filled future.
It's been a wild ride.
It has.
What stands out to you as like the most significant takeaway from all of this?
What's fascinating to me is how everything is connected.
Connected, how?
Whether it's political decisions influencing global economies or technological advancements reshaping the workforce.
Yeah.
It's clear that we live in a super interconnected and rapidly changing world.
And that's something to keep in mind as we move forward.
Definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to process. It feels like every part of life is going through this huge transformation.
It really does.
And it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So maybe let's zoom out for a second and think about the long-term impacts of all this.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Especially the stuff around Trump's second term.
Right, because that seems to be having the most immediate effect on people.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the key themes that's emerging from his second term is this dismantling of traditional government structures.
Okay, interesting.
We're seeing these sweeping layoffs, resignation offers being pushed, and the creation of DOGE, which seems to have like unprecedented access to sensitive data.
Yeah, and some people are praising his like bold approach to efficiency, but others are worried about the potential consequences.
Yeah, it feels like he's betting everything on this idea of disrupting the government.
So what do you think about the potential risks and rewards of this approach?
Well, it's a gamble, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a chance it could lead to a more efficient and streamlined government.
Okay.
But there's also this risk of unintended consequences. If things backfire, the fallout could be disastrous.
And what about the people caught in the middle of all this?
Right.
The federal workers facing layoffs.
Yeah.
The everyday people who rely on government services. Are they just collateral damage?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
It's easy to get swept up in the big headlines.
Right.
And forget about the human impact of these decisions.
Yeah.
But real people are being affected by these changes. And their voices need to be heard.
It's a good reminder that politics isn't just some abstract game.
Yeah.
It has real-world consequences.
Absolutely.
All of us.
Yeah. And speaking of consequences, let's talk about the international arena for a minute.
Okay.
The situation in Ukraine is particularly volatile.
Yeah.
Zelensky's caught between a rock and a hard place.
He's facing pressure from all sides.
Yeah.
Russia, the U.S., even his own people.
It seems like every move he makes has the potential to backfire.
Yeah, and the fact that he's open to negotiating with Russia, even possibly providing those strategic minerals to the U.S., shows just how desperate the situation is becoming.
It's a sign that he's willing to explore every possible avenue to bring peace and stability to Ukraine, even if it means making difficult compromises.
But the issue of those rare earth minerals is still a major hurdle.
It is.
Now that we know they're in disputed territory, it throws a whole new wrench into the equation.
It definitely adds another layer of complexity to an already complicated situation.
And it's a reminder that even seemingly straightforward deals can be fraught with complications, especially when you're dealing with geopolitical tensions and competing interests.
For sure.
And let's not forget about the migrant flights to Guantanamo Bay.
Right. That's a decision that's sparked a lot of controversy.
It's a very divisive issue.
Yeah.
And Trump's hardline stance on immigration is only adding fuel to the fire. This move raises a lot of important questions.
Yeah, like what?
About human rights, legal precedents, and the long-term implications of using Guantanamo Bay in this way.
It's a reminder that even in the 21st century, we're still grappling with some really difficult and complex issues.
And there are rarely easy answers.
Exactly. And it's crucial to approach these issues with nuance and understanding. considering all sides of the argument and striving for solutions that prioritize human dignity and respect.
Well said.
So let's shift gears again
and
talk about the economic front.
Right.
The trade war is still raging.
It is.
And it seems like everyone is feeling the pinch in some way.
Yeah, the tariffs are having a ripple effect throughout the global economy.
We're seeing Canada and Mexico retaliating with their own tariffs.
Right.
And countries like Nigeria are worried about the impact on their oil revenue.
Even Chipotle is having to rethink its avocado supply chain because of these tariffs.
It's crazy, right?
It really is.
It just goes to show how interconnected the world is.
Yeah.
And how seemingly isolated decisions can have far-reaching consequences.
It's a little unsettling.
It is.
It feels like everything is so fragile.
I understand.
Like one wrong move could send the whole system crashing down.
There's definitely a sense of precarity in the air.
Yeah.
But it's also important to remember that change is a constant.
Yeah.
The world is always evolving, and we're simply living through a particularly turbulent period of transformation.
I appreciate that perspective,
Yeah.
but I still can't shake this feeling of unease.
I get it.
It's like we're standing on the edge of something big, and we have no idea what's coming next.
That's the nature of uncertainty.
Yeah.
We can't predict the future, but we can try to understand the present and make informed decisions based on the information we have.
So what does this all mean for the average person trying to navigate this crazy world?
Yeah.
Is there anything we can do to feel more grounded?
That's a good question.
And prepared for whatever comes next?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed.
Okay.
To be critical of the information you're consuming.
Yeah.
And to engage in thoughtful dialogue with others.
So it's not just about passively absorbing information. It's about actively engaging with it and using it to shape the world around us.
Exactly. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And we have a collective responsibility to shape the world we want to live in.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, we still have agency.
We do.
We can still make choices.
Right.
And take actions that can make a difference.
And that's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Never underestimate the power of individual action. Even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
Yeah.
Every voice matters.
Okay.
And every action has the potential to create ripple effects.
Speaking of ripple effects,
oh yeah,
let's not forget about the looming robot revolution.
The robots are coming.
Are we all destined to be replaced by Tesla bots?
I wouldn't say replaced is the right word.
Okay.
But the rise of AI and automation will undoubtedly have a profound impact on the workforce.
So what does that mean for the average person?
Yeah.
Do we all need to become programmers or AI specialists?
Not necessarily.
Okay, good.
But it does mean that adaptability and lifelong learning will be more important than ever.
Okay.
The jobs of the future will require a different set of skills.
Right.
And those who are able to adapt and learn new things will be the ones who thrive.
So it's less about mastering any specific skill.
Right.
And more about being comfortable with change.
Exactly.
And embracing the unknown.
The world is moving faster than ever before.
Yeah.
And those who can keep up and adapt will be the ones who succeed.
So what are some of the key skills we should be focusing on?
If we want to be prepared for this future, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication, collaboration.
Got it.
These are all skills that will be in high demand in the future.
Yeah.
Regardless of your specific field.
So we need to be more well-rounded, more adaptable, and more willing to step outside of our comfort zones.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
The future belongs to those who are willing to embrace change and to constantly evolve.
So to recap, we've got international turmoil, economic uncertainty, a changing political landscape, and a technological revolution.
All happening at the same time.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
And it can feel overwhelming at times.
It can, but it's also an incredibly exciting time to be alive. We're witnessing history in the making. And we have the opportunity to shape the future.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there's still hope.
There is.
And that we have the power to make a difference.
Absolutely. Hope is what drives us forward.
Yeah.
What compels us to keep striving for a better tomorrow. And when we combine hope with action, we can create real and lasting change.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have.
We've explored the whirlwind of news from February 4th, 2025, and delved into some of the biggest challenges and opportunities facing us as a society.
We've seen how seemingly isolated events can have ripple effects across the globe.
Yeah.
And how individual actions can contribute to shaping the future. It's a complex and interconnected world.
It is.
And it's up to all of us to navigate it with awareness, compassion, and a commitment to creating a better future.
It's been a fascinating, if somewhat overwhelming journey.
I agree.
But ultimately, I think it's left me feeling more informed and empowered to face the future.
That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And by working together, we can create a future that is just equitable and sustainable for everyone.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the news from February 4th, 2025. But before we go, we want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. So with all this talk about robots and AI and the future of work, you know, it's easy to get caught up in the tech stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about the human element? What role will empathy and compassion and like our shared humanity play in shaping the future?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think it's one that we need to be talking about more. It's easy to get excited about all this cool new tech.
Right.
But we got to remember that technology is just a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
So it comes down to the humans behind the technology, our intentions, our values, our choices.
Those are the things that determine how technology shapes our world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to think about the potential consequences.
I agree.
Both good and bad.
For sure.
And we need to make sure that we're using technology to make things better for everyone.
Yeah, not just a select few.
It's about using technology to like enhance our humanity, not to replace it.
Exactly.
It's about finding ways to use these tools to connect with each other, to build stronger communities, and to create a more just and fair world for everyone.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We need to encourage empathy and compassion.
Okay.
Build bridges across our differences, you know, and work together to solve these huge problems facing humanity.
Yeah.
Technology can help us with that.
Okay.
But only if we use it wisely and intentionally.
It's a call to action, isn't it?
It is.
We all have a part to play in shaping the future.
We can't just sit back and let technology run our lives.
Right. We need to be active.
We got to be engaged citizens.
And fight for the world we want to see.
Absolutely.
We need to be careful and thoughtful about how we develop and use technology.
I agree.
We need to ask those tough questions.
Yeah, about the ethics of all that.
And make sure that our values are reflected in the tech we create.
Our values should guide our innovation.
Right. It's not about rejecting tech altogether. It's about using it with a critical eye and making sure it benefits all of us.
Exactly.
We got to remember that at the end of the day, we're all human beings sharing this planet.
Yeah.
And we got to find ways to work together to create a future that works for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the news from February 4th, 2025.
It was a wild one.
It was a day full of chaos and uncertainty.
Yeah.
But maybe even a little glimmer of hope.
Maybe.
It's a reminder that the future isn't set in stone.
True.
We create it together.
Right through our choices, our actions.
And our belief in humanity.
So even on those days when it's all just too much.
Yeah.
The news is crazy, the world's spinning. Take a breath.
Okay.
Remember what's important. And remember, you have the power to make a difference.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking the tough questions.